What's up, guys? I'm Vanessa, your host. Welcome back to the Tranquil Living Uruguay podcast. This episode is all about my first impressions of Uruguay from when I landed here almost 5 years ago. And 5 years later, it all stands the same. So let's get into it. My very first impression when I landed here was that it feels modern. I don't feel like I'm in a third world country. Obviously, driving off and out of the airport, we went straight into the highway and we headed east towards Punta del Este that first day that I arrived. And I noticed that the roads and highways, they're very well built, very much like the U.S. I felt like I was in the U.S., to be honest. Great signage, great roads, like no crazy potholes. The paint on the roads, like separating the lanes, everything was really great. So that was the first thing. And then in the same terms of infrastructure, the architecture, there's a lot of Art Deco or modern style architecture, especially the new builds, like the new houses or new apartment buildings. Again, very much like the U.S. I think my main point here that I'm driving is that I didn't feel like I was just like landed in a third world country. It's very much modern and, European U.S. Feel to it. The next thing that I noticed was, let me go back to the infrastructure. Like the AC in the buildings is really good here. Because I know, for example, in Central America, you can walk into a store and there's just like a million fans blowing hot, humid air around. There's no AC. You're sitting there sweating, trying to get groceries or, I don't know, just trying to make a quick stop at the corner store. But no, here there's like good AC. It's it's actually really pleasant. And in the winter, if it's cool, there's good heating. So that makes just like day-to-day life very comfortable, I'd say. The second thing I would say is that people are modest and respectful in all aspects, to be honest. Uruguayans are known for their tranquilo lifestyle, which is like cool, chill, tranquil vibes. And coming from a hometown, New Orleans, Louisiana, which is just loud, crazy, fun, rowdy, boisterous, that was one of the first things I noticed. Like, you move around here, whether you're going indoors, outdoors, and it's pretty quiet. You don't really hear or like see any crazy things going on. So that's kind of nice. No one's like boisterous or cackling like crazy. I don't know. Picturing like a New Orleans, like walking down a street in New Orleans, like you never know. Anything could be going on at any time. Another way they are modest is in the way they dress. You don't really see anyone dressing extreme or like super provocative or like really sexy. Like, no, everyone's just like very kind of like modest, chill again. And it, in the lines of, for women, they also wear little to no makeup. They kind of have like a cool, natural feel and vibe, I would say. The other thing I noticed was there's a European vibe and flair more so than like a spicy Latin American type vibe. Their heritage here is of Spanish and Italian descent, not of like a melting pot like in America. They don't even have, like, to be honest, there's no indigenous here. So yeah, so it's a European vibe as opposed to Latin American vibe, mainly because there's strong Italian and Spanish influence and heritage everywhere here. The last names are, and the first names and last names are like very Italian. I mean, it's you see pasta houses everywhere. It feels very European, which is pretty cool. But they're speaking Spanish, so it's neat. The next thing I noticed was the California-ish vibes. Since we came from San Diego, which was, a beach town, there's a lot of beaches here. I mean, the beaches of Uruguay are beautiful. If you go up along the eastern coast of Uruguay, like all the way up to Brazil, really beautiful beaches, very similar to California. And they have these, there's certain beach towns that have this like certain laid back, hippie-like lifestyle, people smoking joints since marijuana is legal here. You'll see Volkswagen, VW buses everywhere along the coast. It's like really very chill California vibes, which I was not expecting at all. And it was pretty neat to see. There's a very vibrant surf culture along the coast. I'm not sure about scuba diving. I really want to get back into scuba diving. It's been a really long time since college, since I've gone. But overall, it was just really great California feel. And another thing is that Uruguayans, they're welcoming. Everyone is genuinely and pleasantly surprised that Americans want to live here. I think they think their country is so small that no one really, around the world knows about them or talks about them. You never really hear about Uruguay in the news. And obviously they know I'm not from here as soon as I open up my mouth, whether it's because I'm speaking, English to my family or the way I speak Spanish, but obviously I have a different accent than a native Uruguayan speaker. And as soon as I open my mouth, they're always curious, where are you from? Because, they're not used to seeing people from other countries and cultures. And everyone is just genuinely and presently surprised that we love their country, that we live here, that we moved here. I always tell them how much I love Uruguay, and they love to hear it. I sense that me telling them how much I love their country makes them appreciate it more. So I always make sure anytime I tell an Uruguayan, it's like, yeah, I've been living here for 5 years. I love it. You guys have the most beautiful country. And they're always really, really receptive and happy and welcoming about it. So, and then last but not least, the other first impression I had was kind of disappointing, but they eat late. Dinner starts at 9. Well, restaurants open at 8 o'clock here, 8 p.m. But people don't really go out to eat until 9 p.m. which for us, like Americans, it's pretty, that took some getting used to and some adjusting to, because I don't know, it's nice to be able to go out, say, if you had like a 7 o'clock dinner, go out, have dinner, and be back home in bed by 9 o'clock, just like watching TV, hanging out, relaxing in bed. But you can't really do that here. So when we arrived with a 1-year-old, that took adjusting. We couldn't really have our kid out that late. It was kind of like impossible. So eating it's a lot better now that, we're kind of accustomed to it and used to it. But when we first moved here with, a really young kid, it wasn't that easy, to say the least. And that was the other thing, going back to how people are modest and respectful. For example, in restaurants, I feel like it's really quiet, surprisingly. I wasn't expecting it. So every time I go out to eat, I'm kind of expecting to be like kind of loud and, not rowdy, but like, lots of like loud conversations. And like, no, everyone's just like, hey, just having their chatting very, nice and relaxed. And it's that whole tranquilo lifestyle vibe feel. So anyways, I love it. I think it's great. I've embraced it, and everything that I listed out of kind of my first impressions, still the same. So anyways, hopefully that was helpful for you guys and gave you some insight into kind of what it's like being here in Uruguay and that being my first impressions. So thank you so much for listening today. I hope you enjoyed it. If you want more of this type of content, please like, subscribe, and send in your comments and questions about Uruguay. I read them all. Have a good day. Cheers.